Welcome. We're about to dive into a world that's basically a modern day detective story. I'm talking about digital forensics. We're going to break down what it really takes to become a certified investigator in a world where, the crime scenes aren't dusty rooms, they're made of pure data. So let me ask you something. When a crime happens in the real world, who do we call? The police, right? But what about when a server gets hacked or a company's data is stolen? When the entire crime happens online, who's the one that finds the clues? Well, that's where the Computer Hacking Forensic Investigator, or CHFI, comes in. These are the experts, the digital detectives, who are trained to sift through all that chaos, find the hidden evidence, and piece together exactly what happened. Okay, so let's get one thing straight. Becoming a CFI isn't just about being a computer whiz. Nope. It's about following a super strict, standardized method. This isn't guesswork, it's a science. Every single step has to be perfect to make sure the evidence you find actually holds up in court. And that whole method really boils down to 4 key stages. First up, you have search and seize. Pretty self-explanatory. You're finding the computers, the phones, all the devices involved. Then, and this is absolutely critical, you have to maintain the chain of custody. That means documenting every single person who touches that evidence. Then you acquire and preserve, which means you make a perfect copy of the data to work on, so the original evidence is never ever altered. And finally, you analyze and report. This is where you dig in, find the story in the data, and present your findings. You can't skip a single one. Now, to pull all that off, you're going to need a serious toolkit of skills. And that's exactly what the CFFI certification is all about. Think of it as your training ground, where you forge every single tool you'll need out in the field. It all starts with the fundamentals. I mean, this is your foundation, right? You got to learn the basics of cybercrime, how an investigation flows, and then you get right into the nitty-gritty of how data is stored. We're talking hard disks, file systems on Windows, Linux, and Mac. It's kind of like learning the blueprint of a building before you go in to investigate. You have to know where to look. All right, this is where it gets really fun. It's a total cat and mouse game. You learn how to bust the very techniques that hackers use to hide their tracks. And you go deep, analyzing a system's memory, looking at things like shell bags to see what folders someone's been snooping in, or LNK files to see what programs they've been running. It's fascinating stuff. Then you level up, big time. You start tackling way more complex threats. You're not just an investigator anymore. You're a threat hunter. You learn how to spot those tiny, subtle clues, what we call indicators of compromise, that tell you something bad has happened. You'll even get into analyzing malware and figuring out how web servers were attacked. And finally, we get to the really cutting-edge stuff. Look, crime doesn't just happen on a single computer anymore. So you learn how to investigate the dark web, how to pull evidence from the cloud, AWS, Azure, you name it, how to trace clues through emails and social media, and of course, how to do forensics on the one device that's always with us, our smartphones. So look, knowing all this stuff in theory is great, but a real digital detective has to be able to actually do it, right? Especially under pressure. And that's exactly what the virtual lab is for. It's where all that book smarts turns into real, practical, hands-on skill. Yeah, this really sums it up perfectly. Theory is all about learning the what and the why. But the lab is all about the how. This is where you get to roll up your sleeves and apply what you've learned in situations that feel just like the real thing. It's about building that muscle memory. And the way this all happens is through a platform called iLabs. The best part about it is just how flexible it is. Because it's all in the cloud, you can log in and practice these super complex techniques whenever you want from wherever you want. It's like having your own personal forensics lab open 24/7. And we're not talking about some simple little program here. This is a full-blown virtual network designed to feel like a real crime scene. You'll be working with a Windows 11 machine, a Windows server, and even a couple of Linux systems, one to do your work on and another that's playing the part of the suspect machine you need to investigate. So, you've learned the process. You've built your toolkit. You've spent hours in the lab getting your hands dirty. What's left? Well, just one thing. It's time to face the final challenge and earn that official title. 150, that's the number. 150 questions designed to test you on everything, and I mean everything we've just talked about. And you've got 4 hours to get it done. So this isn't just a test of what you know, it's a test of your stamina, your focus, and how well you can perform when the clock is ticking. So let's break it down. Here are the hard numbers. The exam code is 312-49. You're looking at 150 multiple choice questions, and you've got 4 hours. Now, the passing score can actually change. It ranges from about 60 to 85%. This is it. This is the final boss battle between you and that certification. When it's all said and done, it really comes down to this one simple but really powerful idea. The whole point of the CHFI program is to give you all the skills you need to run a proper, professional, and effective digital investigation from the very beginning to the very end. And really, that's what it's all about. Our digital world is just packed with mysteries, with puzzles waiting to be solved. The only real question left is, are you ready to be the one to solve them?